Why avoidance feels like relief? Avoidance often feels like relief. When you step away from something difficult, the tension drops almost immediately. Your body relaxes. Your thoughts slow down. The pressure eases. And that relief feels meaningful. It feels like you solved something. But what actually changed wasn't the problem. It was the feeling. Avoidance doesn't remove difficulty. It removes discomfort. And because discomfort is what the system reacts to, avoidance feels effective. At least at first. Psychologically, avoidance works very quickly. The moment you disengage, the nervous system receives a signal of safety. Threat is reduced. Demand disappears. Attention shifts elsewhere. That rapid relief teaches the system something. It learns that avoidance works, not in the long term, but in the short term, and the nervous system prioritizes short-term relief over long-term outcomes, so avoidance becomes reinforced, not because it's helpful, but because it's soothing. Over time, avoidance changes how tasks feel. The more something is avoided, the heavier it becomes emotionally. The task gathers meaning. Expectations grow. Pressure accumulates. So when you think about returning to it, the discomfort is stronger than before, and that makes avoidance even more tempting. This creates a loop. Avoidance brings relief. Relief reinforces avoidance. Avoidance increases future discomfort. And the system stays stuck trying to feel better, not trying to move forward. This is why avoidance is so persuasive. It doesn't feel like failure. It feels like self-care. You're not forcing yourself. You're not stressing yourself out. You're giving yourself space. But space without return quietly becomes distance, and distance turns into disconnection. The problem doesn't disappear. It waits, and while it waits, its emotional weight grows. Avoidance isn't about laziness. It's about relief. The system chooses what feels safest in the moment. That doesn't make it wrong. It makes it understandable. Change begins when relief is no longer the only goal, when movement is made small enough that it doesn't overwhelm the system. Not dramatic action, not force, just contact. That's when avoidance loses its grip, not because you tried harder, but because relief was no longer the only option. Avoidance feels like relief because it reduces tension immediately. The system doesn't ask whether avoidance solves the problem. It asks whether it feels better right now. That's why avoidance is so convincing, but relief without return slowly turns into distance, and distance makes re-engagement feel heavier each time. This is why progress often begins not with motivation, but with a smaller kind of contact, not pushing, not forcing, just enough engagement to interrupt the avoidance loop without overwhelming the system. That's when relief stops being tied to escape and starts being tied to movement.